Everyone, welcome to our second session of our LinkedIn Lives with HerDomain, and we're very happy to have Farjmand with us today, who's a senior software engineer. So we'll jump right into it. Thank you, Farjmand, for taking the time to speak with us. I know that we all have
No
hectic
worries.
schedules these days, so we really appreciate it.
No worries, no worries. Thank you for including me.
Sure. So I'm going to start with your early influences or your aspirations growing up. So when you think of tech, you don't typically think of cities like Sahiwal, right? Um, so who or what in Sahiwal inspired you to explore a path in tech or influenced you to explore this field?
Um, it wasn't anyone specifically because it was mainly about what I don't want to like study, and I didn't want to go to towards biology. And when I was in school, there were a lot of uh, only option for subjects we have was biology. Like you can only opt for biology, and I was mainly focused towards like I was mainly enthusiast towards the computer in hardware engineering. And I remember when I was looking for colleges, even in Sahiwal. We visited my brother-in-law in Islamabad, in Nust. He was a visiting lecturer there. And I asked him, like, do you have computer engineering here? And he was like, yeah, we have software engineering, we have computer hardware engineering as well. And I'm like, yes, I want to come here. So it was mainly that I don't want to go towards a theoretical part, like towards a theoretical study where you can only you can study, because I'm not a very book nerd or something. It was mainly, but I just went towards computer science then.
That's awesome. And what you mentioned about not wanting to do biology and going into med school and all that, that's one of the stereotypes that we face as women, right? Like we're expected to just go into medicine,
Exactly.
engineering, be it software, electrical, or any kind of engineering is not considered a field appropriate for women or a field where they can grow. So apart
Exactly.
from this, were there other cultural expectations that you had to challenge given your background and given your experiences?
Yeah, it's if at that time it was not only that you cannot do the computer science or engineering side. It was also that if you are really good in studies and if you can only score good marks, like the only the 95% people, percentage people, they usually go towards a medical school. For me, I wasn't very much in good in school. Like I wasn't as I said that I wasn't a very hardworking or the book nerd person. So I never scored in above 90%. I was more towards the 70-80% person. So it was. Another stereotype that you can only go towards teaching. So when I thought that I would be going towards computer science, everyone was like, We don't hire computer teachers, like there are no computer teachers." And I was like, I don't want to be a teacher because my mother is also a teacher, and she retired like 3-4 years back. And there was this stereotype that either you go towards medical side or you can go towards the teaching side. There is no other option for you. Yeah, and the other one was, why do you want to go out of the city to study? Like we have a BA at the time. I think it was a 2 year degree, BSc. And everyone was like, yeah, you should do that. Why do you want to go to Lahore? Like, no, girls don't do that. How can you stay alone there? Who would take care of you? Who would pick and drop you from the university? We don't do that. So it was a lot of things. It was a lot of barriers that first you are a girl, then you are the only girl that is going out of the city. Then you are the only girl who is going to stay in the hostel. You are only the girl who is going to university. And then the co-education thing, you're like, what? You are going to study with the boys? You alone? We are not there with you. So yeah, it was a lot of things.
And we're in 2025 now, but there's still a lot of girls out there who are still going through that, right? So, do you want to
Exactly.
share a little bit about how you were able to, say, convince the people who had these kinds of concerns, or how were you able to overcome these challenges?
Yeah, it was first of all, it was like mainly my mother. I just had to convince her, and then she convinced the whole ecosystem. And then only when my third sister went to hostel, that's where my whole family got convinced. Like, okay, yeah, they can do something. And then I was doing a job, and then my younger sister was doing a job, right? And when you see examples in front of you, like actually people, girls going out, and then they are becoming something of themselves and in becoming independent, and then they are supporting themselves and even their parents, uh, then you have to then they are like, yeah, we can try. And now there are girls in my family as well who are actually going out of the city for study, and then there are girls in my neighborhood who are going out of the city. But uh, yeah, you have to show them to convince them like, yes, you can go, and there is nothing wrong with that, and she's not going to run away from anywhere. Like, you have to trust her mainly.
Really nice to know that not only you achieved your dreams, but you were also able to pave the path for other girls in your family. Yeah, and
Yeah.
hopefully for other girls who will watch this session as well. So now that you have achieved the dream to be a software engineer and you're currently working as a senior software engineer, tell us what your typical day looks like, what you work on, what challenges you entail, and all of that.
Currently, I am working on in Podero, which is basically a startup for energy saving solutions. So what we are doing is we are trying to save customers' energy, like our users' house energy, and we are trying to save some amount on your bills as well by optimizing your electricity, right? So we see the price if when the prices are high, we stop your heat pumps, your EVs charging, and then when the prices are low, we try to like optimize your house energy again. And it, the thing is currently because I'm on a senior role, so it's mainly mostly meetings, a lot of meetings, and then some more, and then you have to then there are some decisions that you have to make like on the architecture side, on the database side, what feature should we go with, what feature should we remove, are there any tools that we can enhance. Currently these days we are trying out some AIs as well. That we should we go with this AI integration or should we go with this into AI integration. So these are mainly the architectural decisions that we are taking. Then there is supporting the sales team on their with their issues and everything. And then there is some code. Like at the end of the day, you code because all the day you are very busy with all of the meetings and all of the discussions that at the end of the day you can code for like 1 hour, 1.5 hours. So typically the day goes like this.
Hmm. That's interesting. And I think the work that you're doing is sort of at the crossroads of both software engineering and renewables, and both of these
Exactly.
coupled with AI is something that's very up and coming. Do you want to talk a little
Yes.
bit more about the projects that you're doing? And so I think this is a field that's not really explored in Pakistan, even though we really need to do that. So maybe in context
Exactly.
of that, anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, currently because I'm working with Podero, so this is a recent project that we are doing. When I joined Podero around half an year and a half ago, it was we were only supporting heat pumps and your electric vehicles. So what we were doing is we were maintaining your bills on very low level by optimizing your electricity. Now we are also supporting solar inverters, and I was also thinking that with the sun that we get in Pakistan, we can do the solar inverters in a very nice way with what they do if we are able to manage the all the limitations that government has. And now we are doing is, well, first we use all the consumption from your solar inverter, and then we try to use all that basically generation on your household consumption. And if that runs out, if your solar inverter is like dead and the sun is down and you cannot charge it, only then we shift your bills, so your electricity grid. So it's basically what we are currently doing in Pakistan, but on a very automated level, right? So yeah, it's actually the smart energy, and it's being worked on a very in a very enthusiastic way in Europe. But in Pakistan, yeah, we still have a lot of legal issues, because my company was asking me last year that is it possible that we can start something, or maybe you can think of something in Pakistan, but we have our own issues as well there.
Is that an avenue that you might explore in the future when you have that bandwidth?
Hopefully, yes, yes, because you are also making, we are reducing carbon footprint, right? So you are trying to save the earth like one bit at a time. I'm not saying that I'm very enthusiastic with the whole save clean earth situation, but you have to do your part with whatever you have, and if you can do your daily job with that, along with that, I think it's a good side to explore mainly.
Interesting. So if I am saying this correctly and if I read up correctly, then you used to work on Web 2 and you've transitioned to Web 3, right?
Yeah.
That's a big transition to make, a most needed one considering the industry trends, but it is a big one. So a lot of people are trying to make that transition. So maybe you want to talk about your biggest learning curve or how did you tackle this transition?
Yeah, it was all new. It was all new. The whole domain was very new. Everyone was a beginner. Everyone was a like one day you are learning something, and then the next day the whole documentation changed because the rules are changed, the laws are changed, and now you cannot do the same code that you were doing yesterday. And it was very nice. Like even if I'm 50, I skipped the knowledge for like 15 days. I am not in the domain. There were a lot of changes that I need to make sure that okay, I am up to date with. So at that time I worked a lot. Like I worked like when I joined the industry for the first time, I remember I was working for like 20 hours. I was making notes. I was taking like multiple tutorials. I was looking at a lot of newsletters. I was reading blogs, and then I was making notes again, uh, just to make sure that okay, I am actually on the right pace with a lot of things, because there were a lot of things happening at the same time. And then there was this limitation, because at the time I was in Pakistan, and there was this limitation that you cannot try a lot of things because crypto was not legalized there, because you cannot download a lot of apps there. And then you have to just go with your gut there. Like if there's a client that is coming with the project, and then you are like, what am I doing? Like, where is it all going? So yeah, that was hard work, and there was some, tough days, but it went through. Like when you go through all that, and then you learn, and then it all paid off. It all paid off because I got my first uh, remote job, my first European remote job, because of blockchain, because I was the only engineer that they could get, uh, that was working remote, that had the whole knowledge that they really wanted. When I shifted from Pakistani job to the European job, it was, there were a lot of things that we don't do in Pakistan, even in the software engineering industry, which is like the up to date industry so far in Pakistan. And there were a lot of things that I needed to learn, work ethics. There are a lot of things there were a lot of tools that we were not even considering, right? Then you have to put the extra effort, like, okay, I have to be up to date with them, right? And then you're okay. Then you're like, okay, nice. Now I'm in the industry. Now I
Yeah.
know what I have to do. Then you're okay. So it's very thin line, but you have to make sure that you don't cross it.
Yeah, that's true. And you feel very under pressure in those situations, right? Because you feel like you're lagging behind and everybody's already quite up to date on those trends and quite like skilled on those tools as well. So that's and other areas as well where you can feel pressure. So what helps you stay calm or what helps you tackle that work pressure?
Mainly because, like, I remember when there was a deployment, and something went wrong, and the client was on call, and the CTO was on call, and the CEO was on call, and you are the only stupid developer who offered to help. Like, yeah, sure, I'll take care of it. And then you are not able to debug it. You are here like, okay, God, what happened there? Because it's now removed from your memory altogether. What happened there at that code? And you cannot lash out, because it's not the basic work ethic. It's not you should not be doing that. uh, as an engineer, it should not be in your personality, first of all, right? And if you are a person who gets angry very very often, then you should be working on your work ethics mainly, because you cannot lash out at every single moment, right? Plus there were a lot of very tough moments in my life, in my personal life, right? And I went through them alone, and there wasn't anyone to lash out on, mainly. So I usually tell myself, like, if I could get through that, this is a piece of cake. Let's go, let's do that. It's not bad. And now that I'm married, I usually lash out on my husband afterwards, because you can definitely do that. No, he's not going to go anywhere, so yeah, you can. You keep your calm in your office, and then you can, like, let's fight.
That's good
So
advice because we often forget this, right? Like when there are deadlines and there's a customer involved and your upper management is involved, we tend to like lose our calm. So yeah, it's important to
exactly.
remember that that's not an option. You can't do that.
Exactly, it's not an option, and it should also not an option in your household as well. Because I remember there was a movie again on it, where the husband always lashes out on his wife whenever there is a bad thing in the office, and she tells him, like, when you are not lashing at your office, why are you lashing at me when I didn't do anything wrong, right? And honestly, when you are working in a male dominant domain, it's usually they are expecting you to lash out, right?
Yeah.
And most of the time, what is my anchor is, because I am currently, even in Podero, I'm the only engineer. I am the only female engineer, right? And there are all like 10 other male engineers, right? And maybe they are not expecting me to lash out, but in Pakistan, I have felt this personally, that they always expected you to lash out. They are like, let's see. She is going to
Emotional
lash out.
women. Yeah.
Yes, she is going to lash out. Just give her a little bit more stress, and she is not going to, like, say no to that, because again, she's a woman, and then she's going to lash out. So what made I made sure that I would never lash out, or I would never lose my temper in front of any of the people that I'm working with, because you lose your dominance, you lose your power, you lose your, because if you're even a team, it's really important. Otherwise, they're because usually they're expecting it, and if you give them, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not acting in your favor.
Yeah, among the
So
many stereotypes that we have to challenge every day, this is one of the biggest ones, right? Women are emotional,
exactly.
they're just going to cry about it, they're going to rant about it. So that's
Yes.
great advice for
Like,
all women to not like to
exactly,
put in the
exactly.
additional effort to not show them your true emotions and just sort of manage them on your own.
Exactly. Yeah, because I am very much against like losing your temper, but I am very much in like I am pro showing empathy. Like,
Yeah.
show your feminine side always, right? I was talking to my engineering manager the other day, and I was asking him, like, what do I need to do if I am pursuing the engineering manager path, right? Afterwards, after the senior engineer level, and he was telling me that there are some things that a leader should have, like empathy, and you already have that, right? Not because I'm a woman, because I tend to go with it. I tend to, like, don't lose my emotions, my kindness, my empathy. If there is anyone sick, I would definitely call up to them. how are you now? Did you get some rest? And it's very rare in Europe, mainly because they usually don't interfere in each other's lives.
Yeah.
They give each other privacy, so it's very important that you keep your feminine side, right? And don't be a man while working with them, right?
Yeah.
And just don't lash out.
Mm.
So it's mainly because yesterday I was watching a season, and then there was this girl whose this investor was pulling out the investment from her startup, and she was being displayed as this girl boss and the CEO who is like very good and everything. And then the investor was pulling the investment from her project, and what they show us is she's calling him and she's crying. And I was like, you don't do that with the
Yeah.
investors, bro. You don't do that. He's your investor, and if he's pulling, this is what media is showing you, right?
Yeah.
Then yeah, she's going to cry with the investor about it. This is what you have to, go against.
Yeah, and the media is not doing women any service by portraying them in these kinds of situations, when in reality things
Exactly.
are very different. Like women are challenging these stereotypes, and
Exactly.
and this part that you said about empathy. I know you said that in your case it's not particularly because you're a woman, but I do think that this is sort of like a natural thing we have as women. So if this can be used
Yes.
as a strength rather than, something that holds
Exactly.
us back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because this is where we have the bonus.
Yeah.
We have the skill already, which other people might have to develop in them.
Awesome. So before we close off, I just have one question. If you could give yourself some advice, the Farjmand who was just starting off in tech, what would it be? I think it'd be really helpful for those who are starting off today.
Yeah, the only thing that I would tell myself is basically what I tell every other girl that I talk to these days, who's starting in tech, even starting in her career generally, is read books. I told you I wasn't a nerd person, right? And we have this stereotype that only nerd people read the books, but read the books. Like, read all of them, read anything you want, you can, and you get your hands on. I know that girls are very nerdy on that aspect because I have seen a lot of girls who are very, very, very good readers, but there is a difference between reading a book and then cramming a book, right?
Yeah.
You don't cram a book. It's not there is a quiz going on afterwards, or you have to pass an exam. Just read the books, because the more you can, the knowledge that you can get from the books is, I don't think you can get it anywhere else. And these days, because I'm trying for an engineering manager position, my engineering manager, who is my mentor, he recommended me like 5 books. So yeah, it's a lot, but that's how much you need them, you know.
Is
So
there one that
yeah.
you want to maybe recommend?
Currently, I am reading the manager's path, I would say, specifically, because I am trying to go towards the engineering manager side, right? So yeah, and the writer is also a female, so that is really good.
Mm,
I
yeah.
would definitely recommend you to read some books who are written with from a female's perspective also.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much again for your time. I had a lovely time speaking to you. I'm sure people who will
thank
watch
you,
this will
Aleena.
also have a lovely time listening to you. And yes, good luck while you apply for the engineering manager position. I hope
Yes,
that
thank you, thank
you
you.
get all the success.